2023 was quite a struggle, and with the cost of living crisis and all of that, going into 2024, we need to be guided, at this point. So we're going to be getting some personal finance tips for 2024. That's our next conversation. Do stay with us. Well, it's a brand new year. First trading day of the year kicks off for most markets. We track that tomorrow. But now it's time to plan your personal finance for the year to make sure you meet your financial goals for 2024. Join us now for this conversation is Oladele, founder, Money Wit Club. Join us via Zoom. Great to have you on the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
So 2023 was quite the year for many. Cost of living crisis, high inflation, currency devaluation. But at the end of the day, most were recommending to stay off risk assets. But we see risk assets paid off generously in 2023. What do you think should be the plan when it comes to planning your personal finance in 2024 and investing your way out of poverty?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year once again. So yes, risk assets did quite well in 2023. However, you always have to remember that high risk is high return is a reward for high risk. What that implies is that people took risk, and there was a chance that it didn't go quite well. Right. So when planning your finances, I always recommend that you split it across both risky and low risk, so that if there is a shock, you are able to accommodate it. Right. So when we say risky assets paid off, we forget that there are risky assets that did not pay off. There are portfolio companies, venture capital companies that shut down. A lot of them shut down in 2023, right? We also know that not all the stocks in the market did well. Some companies left Nigeria. So when we say risk assets paid off, it's a generalized statement. People lost money at the same time. So it's important to bear that in mind when we are thinking about taking risk, such that you put a pause or you slow it down. You don't just go entirely all risk. You manage between risky and non-risky assets.
What should be the key takeaways from 2023, talking about lessons learned, at this point, because you did mention some, risk assets did badly, in 2023, and it's not easy, finding the winners. It's more in hindsight. You come out and you see that, oh, this one did very well, wish I had invested, or maybe we're lucky to actually invest and make returns. But what do you think are the key lessons learned from 2023?
The first lesson I would say, everybody's take up was that the economic environment matters, right? Most of the investments that did well were positioned to benefit from the economic environment. The ones that were not positioned, or their business idea structure was not positioned for the environment, shut down. And that is the reality, and it's a global reality. So when you hear farmers say that, we had to wait for planting season, or planting started late because they had to wait for the rains, or maybe depending on the crop, they had to wait for the rains to stop, right? It's because they understand the place of the environment in their farming process. And I think we need to take investment from that approach, meaning that if you are going into an investment, the first thing you need to also, apart from the viability of that investment, the environment walking into, will it support this type of investment? If it won't, for any reason, then you can almost tell that if you give it time, that investment is going to go bust. But if you have an investment, for example, that is aligned, that is providing a solution, for example, if you think of the platform we are using to dive in a situation of a pandemic when nobody's moving around, we understand that business is viable, and everybody's going to keep paying for it, even though the economy is hard. Another thing that we needed to learn from 2023 is that there will always be shocks, no matter how much you. There will be things that you cannot anticipate that would happen. Why do we say that? Because things happen that nobody foresaw, right? But the thing about it is that you have to accommodate it. You have to position yourself to either hedge yourself, meaning that the impact will not affect you, or you position yourself so that that wind blows and lifts you higher. But if you can't position yourself to benefit best you can do is have some kind of shock absorber or insurance system, or your portfolio is structured so that if one is good and if one is bad, the other one will be good to accommodate the shocks. But those are two major things that I think if we carry into 2024 and our decision making, our personal finances better off in the year.
And looking at 2023, we did see there was a lot of gambling. We see a lot of youth there went to the gambling houses to try and make money to sustain, their lives. And also the loan apps too came in handy. But we saw a lot of people over borrowing, even though they couldn't pay back. And we saw the loan apps, going after them, shaming them, and all of that. And everybody, looking for that winning game that would make you all the riches, betting on sports and all of that. What do you think individuals should do in 2024? There are some of them that are hooked on gambling at this point and taking up all these loans. What's your advice for them?
Of course, gambling is those things that no one really recommends. If you want to go on the path of gambling, then you should cap the amount you put into it. Because you would say don't gamble. Of course, people would always want to try their luck, which is understandable. Such that if you decide that you want to go gambling, cap the amount you're going to put into it. And now when it comes to loan sharks, it's one of those things where you have to plan. We have seen the inflation of 2023. If it continues as is in 2024, the fact is it's no longer a shock. What are you doing to accommodate it? There's no longer, I talked about shocks, but it's no longer a shock. This is where we are. This is what we are in. So how do you plan ahead to accommodate it? How do you position yourself to have emergency funds? What can you do to make more money for yourself? What can you do to reduce the risk of your investment so that you're not going from 100 to 0 in one investment opportunity? Those are the kind of things that we need to be considering when we are positioning ourselves for this year. The loan sharks are there to make money, and they will give you, knowing fully well that you probably might not be able to pay back in full, but taking a gamble on the fact that they have a way to get that money out of you, however, right, and declare their profits. But you as an individual, you're responsible for your finances. So we've seen the shocks of 2023. It's no longer a shock in 2024. How do you make adjustments to accommodate the new prices?
Right, definitely a lot to think about there. And I guess if you're going to gamble in 2024, have a budget, cap it, and don't go above it so you don't end up gambling all your money. So, well, we're here now. What are you seeing coming in 2024?
So for 2024, I get on chat. The budget, the economic environment, economic direction that the regulators and the government is setting for us. The fact is, as I said, the environment will determine what will thrive or not. So if you, for example, are looking for where to invest your money, right, what you should be looking at is what sectors of the economy are going to be funded, what sectors of the economy are either resistant or defensive, such that no matter what happens, people would always pay for these things. They are necessities, right? We need to be strategic about our investment decisions. That's on one hand. But even in terms of spending and planning, right? We can't continue like there is no challenge at hand. The fact is that prices have been rising for a bit, and there appears to be nothing that is going to slow it down in the short term, at least between now and H2 2024, right? If you bear that in mind, it means that what you can pay ahead to lock in a price, consider that if you have ability for it. However, you can hedge yourself, because paying ahead is a hedging strategy. However, you can hedge yourself the rising prices, whatever you can adjust in your finances, right? To make sure that you are secure, your bills are covered, so you don't get into the loan shark story. Those are the kind of things that people should be considering, because we can't see that the economy is not looking great. GDP is going to grow slower than our numbers as a country. Then you now sit down and not do anything. The question is, what can you do to hedge the impact on your finances? One, and two, what can you do to position yourself to benefit from the growth, however small it is, the growth that we expect?
Thank you so much. It was great having your perspective today, Ola Oladele, founder of Money With Club. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Happy New
Cheers.
Year.